It is my pleasure now to invite Wayne, who's known to most of, if not all of you. Wayne Fitzsimmons is the chair of the Percy Foundation, and there's no better person to actually take us through the history of computer science in this country. Wayne, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today. There's many quotes in history about history and its role in society, but one I think that's highly relevant to today's proceedings is a nation who forgets its history has no future. I can't attribute that to anyone particularly, but we at the PSC Foundation and all of the organisers and speakers at today's proceedings are acknowledging that we have a proud history of ICT in this country. We are here to celebrate the remarkable journey we commenced back in August 1951 and to articulate where we're headed across many aspects of society that today are either driven by ICT or heavily influenced by the latest technological developments emerging across an incredible array of know-how, and the Minister articulated many of those, which is quite remarkable in the grand scheme of the history of our industry. There's no doubting the role technology continues to play in transforming our society. Is it unreasonable to claim that ICT is one of, if not the, key reason we are so different as a society today than 70 years on? So you may also be wondering why we, the PSC Foundation, decided this conference was worthy of celebration to mark its 70th anniversary. For those of you who aren't familiar with our foundation, allow me to explain briefly. We're called the PSC Foundation in honour of Dr. Trevor Pearcey, who led the team at CSIRO Radiophysics that developed CIRAC, the first computer, right here in the Department of Physics, just down there a few hundred metres. CIRAC, as many of you will be aware, was perhaps the world's fourth electronic, as opposed to a relay or mechanically driven, stored program digital computer, a la Turing, following on from a handful of machines developed just after the Second World War. These included two UK efforts, the first Manchester University machine called the Baby, circa 1948, and EDSAC at Cambridge University, circa mid-49, and one effort in the US, BINAC, in late 49. I don't think actually it ever was commissioned. CIRAC actually first executed its program in December 1949. In 1998, a member of ACS in Victoria, Ian Dennis, took the initiative to establish this foundation when he became aware of Trevor's death earlier that year. This was explicitly to recognise and honour the pioneering efforts of Trevor and his team. Each year since that time, we've presented the PSC Medal and Hall of Fame to those outstanding individuals who have followed in Trevor's footsteps and made major contributions to this industry and make it what it is today. And we have Roger Allen here, was a PSC medalist not so long ago, but unfortunately he's almost my age. Very quickly, we recognised the emergence of many young entrepreneurs having a go at starting new high-tech companies. So each year we make 7 PSC Entrepreneur Awards, one in each state of Australia, for those younger folks who run at risk, make a difference and inspire others. We are a group of dedicated, altruistic individuals come together to recognise outstanding contributors to our national technology capability. We don't get to everyone, of course, but we aim to continuously promote our ICT industry to Australians right across Australia. And if you aren't familiar with our foundation, please take a look at our website, psc.org.au. So, to answer my original question as to why we decided this conference was significant, is that we see the original conference as not only the beginning of computer science in our academic institutions, but really the platform we continue to use to drive for success in ICT as a nation. And we have some very eminent academics here from the computer science group in the academic world in Australia, and I'm absolutely delighted that they made the effort to come here today. It's why we compete successfully and effectively internationally. It's why our skills are sought internationally. It's why our tertiary institutions are so attractive to international students. And it's why we make a difference to industry and society in general. In fact, can anyone of us here today imagine what our GDP as a nation would be without our industry? Today we're not looking back, just to remember how we got here and taking a glimpse into what the future holds, but to celebrate our national success in this endeavour we now call information and communications technology. Little did the attendees at the Conference on Automatic Computing Machines realise the momentous occasion it turned out to be. And here we are, 70 years on, looking out a further 70 years. Now, I wish to give a little more background to the original conference in August 51 and its significance. I thank my colleagues, Barbara Ainsworth at Monash University and Peter Thorne, formerly at Melbourne University, both acknowledged eminent historians in our industry who prepared these comments I'm about to deliver. So, as I mentioned, this conference was a real turning point for our nation, an inflection point, and I think we might hear about a few more inflection points during the course of this morning. It was held at the beginning of the digital revolution, only a couple of years after the very first programmable digital computer had become operational. Before that time, calculations for business, science or engineering purposes were usually done by hand or by using mechanical or electromechanical calculators. Many of the people who used those machines to do calculations tediously, step by step, were women. They were, in fact, often referred to as computers. Other complex machines use gears and cogs and electrical quantities to model real-life systems. They were known as analog computers. Prior to this conference, much effort and cost had been spent on developing such analog computers by organisations such as CSIRO, Defence and universities here and abroad. The participants at the 51 conference included women computers, skilled in the step-by-step driving of mechanical calculators, as well as scientists and engineers who were building and using analog computers. During this conference, they had a view of the future that would build upon their earlier efforts. They were shown at this first conference by Trevor Pearcey and his colleagues the CSIR Mark I computer, later renamed CSIRAC, one of the very first computers ever built. It can compute about 1,000 times faster than a desk calculator, thus reducing 3 months of error-prone intensive handwork to an hour or so. Furthermore, by rapidly processing data in digital form rather than analog form, it could be used to model physical systems and even play music real-time. This was revolutionary. As an aside, the playing of Colonel Bogey on CSIRAC at this first conference was a world's first public demonstration of electronic music. In later years, the almost unlimited applications of such machines would evolve rapidly. Their speed and storage capacity would be enhanced at a rate unprecedented in history until they would impact every aspect of our lives, far beyond scientific or engineering computation. But those later developments were a rapid evolution rather than a revolution. It is an evolution that has seemed inexorable and irresistible, and that one continues today, even accelerating today, 70 years on. The computer scientists and engineers at that conference in 51 could not have foreseen that both affordable storage capacity and processing speeds would increase by a factor of over 1 billion in the decades to come, thus permitting storage and processing of images, text, music, and every type of data that we all take for granted today. Although perhaps Trevor had an inkling of those possibilities when he wrote several years earlier, it is not inconceivable that an automatic encyclopedic service operated through the national teleprinter or telephone system will one day exist. Nevertheless, the conference attendees could see in 51 that we had entered a new era of electronic storage and calculation. It would provide flexibility and speed that would outstrip even the most ingenious products of the mechanical age. From this point on, computer science, a new discipline, would develop quickly. It would ride on the wave of the rapid development of processing power and storage capability, a digital wave, if you will, as the Minister alluded to. It would also enable the application of this new technology to every aspect of our lives. So today we celebrate a turning point in our history as a nation when scientists and engineers and others from around Australia, many of whom went on to be leaders in their fields, saw the future right here and in this great educational institution, and saw that it would be digital. Dr. Trevor Pearcey, Department of Radiophysics, CSIRO, Professor David Myers, Department of Electrical Engineering at Sydney University, folks like Brian Speedy, Gordon Rose, and many others contributed papers at this conference 70 years ago. They inspired the attendees and countless others. I'm hoping you may all be inspired by the speakers you're about to hear today, and the record of this conference, I hope, will continue to inspire the future generations of Australians who choose to pursue a career in this advanced technology game we call ICT. I invite you all to sit back and relax and prepare yourselves for a great discussion of what these opportunities might look like for our next generation and our great nation. Thank you.